Some stories don't end. They echo. Across centuries, across continents, across the minds of those who dare to question everything. They are like whispered warnings carved into the edges of time, waiting patiently to be rediscovered. We're about to dive into 5 of the most disturbing historical mysteries ever recorded. Cases that defy explanation, that continue to unsettle researchers, and that challenge the very way we think about our past. This isn't a list of fairy tales or urban legends. These are real accounts, backed by historical records, witness testimonies, and physical evidence. And yet, despite all our advances in science and technology, they remain unsolved. Why? What are we missing? And more importantly, are some answers too dangerous or too strange to face? Let's begin. Imagine a quiet countryside. The air is still. The trees sway just slightly. Everything seems normal, until someone vanishes completely without a trace, leaving behind only questions. Our journey begins with one of the most baffling disappearances in history, the case of the Roanoke colony. In the late 1500s, a group of English settlers set sail across the Atlantic to start a new life in North America. They established a small colony on Roanoke Island, off the coast of present-day North Carolina. Then they vanished. All of them, men, women, children, gone. When a supply ship finally returned 3 years later, they found the village abandoned. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just the word Croatoan carved into a wooden post. That one word has haunted historians for centuries. Was it a clue? A warning? A name? No one knows. Theories range from integration with local tribes to disease to Spanish attacks. Some even suggest supernatural forces. But despite countless investigations, the truth has never been found. And maybe that's what makes it so disturbing. Not just the loss of life, but the silence they left behind. Then there's the story of the dancing plague of 1518. A town in modern-day France, Strasbourg, was struck by something no one could explain. It began with one woman. She walked into the street and started dancing, relentlessly for hours, then days. She couldn't stop. Within a week, dozens had joined her, dancing uncontrollably, not for joy, not for celebration, but as if possessed. Some danced until they collapsed. Some danced until they died. Physicians at the time blamed hot blood. Others called it mass hysteria. But even today, with everything we know about psychology and sociology, we still don't fully understand what happened. Some suggest it was caused by ergot poisoning, a hallucinogenic mold on bread. Others think it was spiritual, something beyond our current comprehension. Whatever it was, it spread like a virus and vanished just as quickly. No clear start, no clear end. Just a moment in time when reason took a backseat to madness. And what about the Voynich manuscript? Discovered in the early 20th century, this mysterious book has been the obsession of cryptographers, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike. It's handwritten, filled with strange illustrations of plants that don't exist, astronomical charts that don't match any known system, and a language that no one, not even top code breakers, has been able to decipher. For over a century, the manuscript has resisted every attempt to unlock its secrets. Some believe it's a hoax, an elaborate prank by a bored medieval scholar. Others are convinced it's a scientific document encoded to protect forbidden knowledge. There are even those who believe it was written by someone or something, not from this world. The most chilling part, we don't even know what questions to ask. Is it a medical guide? A diary? A map? Or is it something far more dangerous, an invitation? Then there's the case of the Green Children of Woolpit. In medieval England, 2 children appeared near the village of Woolpit, a boy and a girl. They spoke no known language. Their skin had a greenish hue. They were terrified. And they claimed to come from a place underground called St. Martin's Land, where everything was dim and the sun never fully rose. The boy died soon after, but the girl survived and eventually learned to speak English. She claimed their people were like them, green-skinned and hidden beneath the earth. Modern theories suggest they were abandoned children suffering from malnutrition, possibly poisoned, but that doesn't explain their language, or the stories, or their sudden appearance. It's a story that sits on the edge between myth and truth, where facts blur into the unknown. And finally, one of the most disturbing mysteries, the Dyatlov Pass incident. In 1959, 9 experienced Russian hikers set out into the Ural Mountains. They never returned. When rescuers found their campsite, it was a scene out of a nightmare. Their tent had been ripped open from the inside. Some of the hikers were found barefoot in the snow, miles from the tent. Others had strange injuries. One had a crushed skull, another missing eyes and a tongue. Yet no signs of struggle, no footprints of outsiders. The official explanation? A compelling natural force. But what does that even mean? Over the years, theories have ranged from avalanche to military testing, from secret weapons to alien involvement. Recently, some scientists proposed a rare kind of slab avalanche. But even that doesn't explain everything. The panic, the bizarre injuries, the missing tongue. The deeper you dig, the stranger it gets. All 5 of these cases share one thing. They resist answers. And maybe that's what makes them so powerful. Not because we don't know, but because they remind us how much we still can to know. We live in a world obsessed with information, data, proof. But these stories are cracks in that illusion. They whisper that, despite everything, mystery still exists, that not all questions have answers, and perhaps, just perhaps, some answers are not meant to be found. But that's exactly why we keep looking. Because behind every unsolved mystery lies something deeply human, the need to understand, the drive to ask why, even when there's no reply, and maybe that's the greatest mystery of all. What if time didn't move the way we thought it did? What if in certain places, under strange conditions, the rules of reality itself could bend? That's exactly what some believe happened in the case of the man from Taured. The story begins in 1954 at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. A routine day, planes landing, passengers passing through customs, until a man presents a passport from a country that doesn't exist. Taured, he's well-dressed, speaks multiple languages, and he's completely calm. His passport looks authentic. It has stamps from various countries. He insists Taured is a real nation between France and Spain. The officials are confused, but the man seems genuine. They take him to a hotel while they investigate. Guards are posted outside his room. The next morning he's gone, vanished, no trace, no records, nothing. People have debated the story for decades. Was he a time traveler? From a parallel universe? A confused con artist or something else entirely? The deeper question is this: how do we define reality? Is it only what the majority agrees on? And what happens when someone walks in from the outside? Then we come to the Antikythera mechanism. Discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece in 1901, this device dates back over 2,000 years. It's a complex system of bronze gears and dials, capable of predicting astronomical events with incredible accuracy. For a long time, it was considered an anomaly. How could ancient people have built something so advanced, centuries before anything like it appeared again? Some even called it the world's first computer. But no other devices like it have ever been found. It's as if a piece of future knowledge was dropped into the past, then forgotten. Historians have tried to place it within the context of known technology, but the truth is it still doesn't fit. It's too advanced, too precise, as if whoever made it knew something we don't, or maybe we lost more than we realize. The Beale ciphers are another haunting example. In the early 1800s, a man named Thomas Beale supposedly buried a treasure worth millions of dollars in gold, silver, and jewels in Bedford County, Virginia. He left behind a series of ciphers, 3 coded messages. One of them, decrypted years later, describes the treasure in detail. The other 2? Still unsolved. Countless people have tried to crack them. Cryptographers, hobbyists, even artificial intelligence. No luck. Some say it's all a hoax, that there was never any treasure. But others believe the key to the code was lost, and with it, a fortune hidden in plain sight. What makes the mystery even darker is the idea that maybe someone did solve it and chose to stay silent. Another case that pushes the boundaries of logic is the disappearance of the Sodder children. On Christmas Eve 1945 in West Virginia, a fire consumed the Sodder family home. The parents and 4 of their children escaped, but 5 children were never seen again. No remains, no bones, nothing. The authorities blamed the fire, but experts later said the blaze wasn't hot enough or long enough to completely destroy human remains. Witnesses reported strange things that night. A man watching the house, a phone call with no one on the other end, a ladder moved from its usual place. Years later, the mother received a photo in the mail. A young man who looked like one of the missing children, older now. No return address, just a note saying, Louis Sodder, I love Brother Frankie, Ilil Boys, A90132 or 35. The family never stopped searching, never got closure, and the question lingers, did someone take those children, and why? And finally, let's explore the mystery of the WOW signal. In 1977, a radio astronomer at Ohio State University detected a signal from space unlike anything ever recorded. It lasted 72 seconds. It was strong, structured, deliberate. The researcher circled it on the printout and wrote WOW next to it. That name stuck. Since then, scientists have tried to find it again. They've listened, waited, but it never came back. Some believe it was interference, a stray Earth-based signal. Others believe it was the first, maybe only message we've ever received from intelligent, extraterrestrial life. If it was, then they reached out and never did again. Or maybe we missed our chance to reply. Each of these mysteries isn't just about facts. They're about the limits of what we accept as possible. A man from nowhere, a machine ahead of its time, a treasure hidden by riddles, children lost without a trace, a signal from the stars. They make us uncomfortable because they don't offer easy answers, because they poke holes in the fabric of what we call reality, and because deep down we sense that reality might be far stranger than we're ready to admit. So we keep asking, not to be scared, but to feel alive, to remember that mystery is not the opposite of knowledge, it's the start of it. And maybe that's the point of these stories, not to solve them, but to let them wake us up. In every culture, there are stories that refuse to die. They linger in the collective memory, resurfacing in different forms, generation after generation. Sometimes they're dismissed as myths or legends, but every now and then you come across one that's so specific, so well documented, that you have to stop and wonder, what if it's not just a story? One such case is that of Caspar Hauser. In 1828, a teenage boy appeared suddenly in the streets of Nuremberg, Germany. He was disoriented, barely able to speak, and carried with him a letter explaining that he had been raised in total isolation. He said he had lived in a dark cell for as long as he could remember, with almost no human contact. Yet he could write his name and claimed he wanted to become a cavalryman, like his father. Over the next few years, Caspar became a public fascination. Some believed he was a missing prince. Others thought he was a fraud. But then he was murdered, stabbed under mysterious circumstances. His death only deepened the mystery. Who was he really? Why was he imprisoned for so long? And who wanted him silenced? Then there's the bizarre tale of the lead masks case in Brazil. In 1966, 2 men were found dead on a hill near Rio de Janeiro. They were wearing formal suits and lead eye masks. Next to them were a notebook, empty water bottles, and a note that read, "Be at the specified location at 16:30. Take capsules after the effect. Protect metals. Await signal." No sign of violence, no drugs in their systems. The masks? Handmade and clearly intentional. Theories abound. Some say it was a failed attempt to contact aliens. Others think it was part of a spiritual experiment or a secret society ritual, but no one really knows. The most chilling part isn't just that they died. It is that they seem to have expected something extraordinary to happen, and it didn't. Another case that defies logic is the Tunguska event. In 1908, a massive explosion flattened over 2,000 square kilometers of Siberian forest. The force was estimated to be over 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Yet no impact crater was ever found. No fragments, no meteorite, just scorched earth and trees knocked over in a perfect radial pattern. Scientists believe it was likely caused by an airburst of a meteorite or comet, but others aren't so sure. There are reports of a bluish light in the sky, strange weather patterns, and unusual seismic activity. Some have even suggested it was an experiment gone wrong, a test of advanced technology, or something else entirely. But over a century later, the mystery remains. What exploded over Tunguska, and why did it leave no trace? Then there's the haunting story of the Pollock twins. In 1957, two young girls, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, died in a tragic car accident in England. A year later, their mother gave birth to twin girls, Jennifer and Gillian. As the twins grew, they began to speak of things they had no way of knowing, specific details about places, people, and events related to their deceased sisters. One had a birthmark identical to one of the dead girls. They recognized their sister's toys and even showed fear of cars. Psychologists were baffled. Their parents hadn't shared these stories with them. Some believe it's evidence of reincarnation. Others dismiss it as coincidence or suggestion. But the precision of the twins' knowledge and the emotional depth of their reactions raises uncomfortable questions about consciousness and identity. What if memory can survive death? And what does that mean for how we see the self? Finally, we must talk about the mystery of Flight 19. On December 5, 1945, 5 U.S. Navy bombers took off from Florida on a routine training mission over the Atlantic. The weather was fine. The planes were in perfect condition. The pilots were experienced. Then they vanished. Radio contact grew increasingly strange. The flight leader reported compass malfunctions and said, "We are entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are." His voice was calm but confused. Eventually, all contact was lost. The Navy launched a massive rescue mission, including a search plane. That plane vanished too. No wreckage was ever found. Flight 19 became the centerpiece of the Bermuda Triangle legend. Skeptics blame navigational errors and fuel exhaustion. But if that's all it was, why no debris? Why no signals? Why the rescue plane too? It's not just the disappearance, it's the eerie communication before it. It's the way it fits into a broader pattern of unexplained losses in that region. It's the feeling that something waits out there, just beyond understanding. These mysteries all suggest one unsettling idea, that we are not in control, that for all our maps, our science, our logic, there are still pockets of the world and of the human experience that resist explanation. And maybe that's why we're drawn to them. They challenge our arrogance. They whisper of a deeper reality beneath the one we see. A place where lost boys appear from nowhere, where lead masks prepare us for events we can't explain, where forests explode, where souls might return, where the sky can open up and swallow us whole. And yet, we return to these stories not just out of fear but out of wonder, because every mystery is an invitation, a reminder that the world still holds secrets, that we haven't figured it all out, that maybe the truth is stranger, richer, and more alive than we ever imagined. Sometimes the most unsettling mysteries aren't found in distant lands or ancient times, but in the recent past, right under our noses. The case of Elisa Lam is one of them. In 2013, the 21-year-old student from Canada was found dead in a water tank on the roof of the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. But it's the surveillance footage from the hotel elevator that shocked the world. In the video, Elisa behaves erratically, stepping in and out, pressing multiple buttons, hiding in a corner, making strange gestures. It's as if she's talking to someone invisible. The door doesn't close. Her movements are unnatural, disoriented, fearful. And then, she disappears from view. Weeks later, her body is discovered, decomposing in the tank. How did she get there? The door to the roof was locked and alarmed. The tank was heavy and difficult to access. There were no signs of struggle, no drugs in her system, officially ruled an accidental drowning. But many remain unconvinced. Was she having a mental health crisis? Was someone else involved, or was it something we can't explain? The truth lies buried beneath layers of fear, speculation, and that haunting video, the kind that sticks in your mind long after the screen goes dark. Then there's the story of the hum, a low-frequency sound reported in various parts of the world, from Taos, New Mexico to Bristol, England. People describe it as a persistent humming, like an idling engine or a distant thunder that never fades. It's often heard at night, and not everyone hears it. Studies have ruled out obvious sources: factories, traffic, geological activity. In many cases, the hum appears in quiet, rural areas. It causes sleeplessness, anxiety, and even physical pain. Some suspect secret government experiments, underground drilling, or even unknown natural phenomena. But no definitive source has ever been found. Imagine living with a sound that follows you, that no one else can hear, that doctors can't explain. It's a kind of madness rooted not in imagination, but in a reality that science can't yet decode. The mystery of the Somerton Man is another case that defies logic. In 1948, an unidentified man was found dead on Somerton Beach in Australia. He had no ID. All labels were removed from his clothing. A coded message was found hidden in a small pocket. The only clue, a scrap of paper that read, "Tamam shud," a Persian phrase meaning ended or finished. Later, a book of Persian poetry was discovered with a matching code and a phone number. But despite decades of investigation, we still don't know who he was or how he died. Some think he was a spy. Others suggest he was involved in a romantic betrayal. In 2022, DNA analysis finally gave him a likely name, Carl Webb, but the circumstances around his death remain unknown. It's a mystery that reminds us identity itself can be a mask, and that sometimes, even in death, people remain ghosts. There's also the unsettling account of the Max Headroom signal hijacking. In 1987, during 2 separate broadcasts in Chicago, a television signal was interrupted. Viewers were suddenly shown a person wearing a Max Headroom mask, speaking in a distorted voice, spouting nonsense, waving objects, and finally being spanked with a fly swatter. Then the signal cut back to the regular programming. No one claimed responsibility. The perpetrators were never caught, and the entire thing was done with a level of technical skill that baffled authorities. It wasn't just a prank, it was a violation, a breach in a medium we trust, a reminder that even our most stable systems can be hacked. People still wonder who did it and why. Was it a protest, a joke, a warning, or something darker? The event remains one of the most famous cases of signal intrusion, and one of the most unnerving. Lastly, we arrive at one of the oldest and most enduring mysteries in human history, the construction of the Great Pyramids. We know where, we know when, but we still don't fully know how. The blocks used to build the pyramids of Giza weigh several tons each. They were transported, lifted, and precisely aligned with celestial patterns, without modern tools or machinery. Ancient texts are silent on the methods. Some say ramps, pulleys, human labor. But the math doesn't quite add up. The precision, the scale, the speed. It all suggests a level of engineering far beyond what we've documented elsewhere at the time. Some speculate lost technologies. Others whisper of outside influence, visitors from beyond. But perhaps the real mystery is how we've underestimated ancient intelligence. We look back through a lens of superiority. And maybe that's the flaw. The pyramids don't just represent power. They represent a kind of genius we are only beginning to rediscover. All these stories, the ones that confuse us, that frustrate us, that keep us awake at night, have something in common. They point to the edges of our understanding. They expose cracks in the stories we tell ourselves about control, certainty, and knowledge. We want to believe everything can be explained, that with enough time, enough data, enough science, we can unravel every knot. But what if we can't? What if some mysteries exist not to be solved, but to remind us of humility? And maybe that's why these 5 historical mysteries matter so much, not because they're sensational, not because they're scary, but because they remind us we don't have all the answers. And that's okay. They invite us to stay curious, to listen closely, to ask better questions, to wonder deeply and honestly about the world we live in. In a time where we're constantly fed facts, predictions, and algorithms, maybe the most powerful thing we can do is admit that we don't know everything, and maybe we never will. So, what do you think? Do these mysteries mean the world is stranger than we thought? Or are they just gaps in our current knowledge, waiting to be filled? Whatever your answer, one thing is clear. There is still so much we don't understand, and that's not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Because mystery isn't a weakness, it's a sign that wonder is still alive. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and above all, never stop being curious. Thank you for joining this journey. See you in the next mystery.